We've got a 5-star recipe, fresh tilapia, if you're looking for a quick, easy, healthy meal. Hopefully this video can help you out. We're going to be making
the fish is super duper 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 yummy.
Tilapia that even the kids love. Our little 4-year-old just can't get enough of it. Here is what it looks like. We're going to be putting all kinds of good stuff on it that is good tasting and good for the body, right? Tomatoes, garlic, capers, olive oil. And now I'm going to put the full recipe in the description below because it's better to look at something, the measurements and all that, as opposed to me telling you. So I'll give you some general measurements as we go along and show you how we put this meal together. But again, check out those measurements down in the description below. Now we're going to preheat the oven. Pretty simple job. Let's set that to 400 degrees. We'll let that do its thing and we'll prepare the fish. We'll slip the tilapia out of the container. Notice this has not been frozen. We bought it pretty affordably at the store. You don't need to spend, you know, an arm and a leg here. Tilapia is generally pretty affordable. Now we're carefully taking them apart from one another. They're kind of stacked and sticky, so to speak. So we're just going to lay them out as shown. And we'll get all of our ingredients. And we're going to be baking some fresh bread too, by the way. And we're going to take some olive oil. And if you want to be precise, you certainly can. But the idea here is to drench the tilapia in the olive oil, both on top and underneath it. You want it to coat it pretty much fully. So you'll have to roll up your sleeves a little bit, and this is how you do it. Pretty simple so far, right? All right, we'll slide that around, give that a good coating. Now these tilapia fillets should be deboned. However, you might get a couple, so you can try to find those now or just risk it and wait. We're going to risk it and wait because they're generally pretty good about deboning these. Next, we're going to take some little cherry tomatoes here. Open that up. And depending on, you know, how many you want, I don't like to half these tomatoes. Just throw them in whole. And they look really pretty going in, and then the tomatoes kind of shrivel up as cooked tomatoes do, baked tomatoes do. And then we'll take some capers, and similar to the tomatoes, it's a subjective call here. How many capers do you want? I'll obviously put the measurements down below, but you can, this gives it an extra little pop. I highly recommend adding capers to this meal. It kind of balances out the color palette too, which is nice. And on second thought, I'm going to go ahead and just empty the entire bottle of capers on there. I don't think you can have too many capers. Next, we'll open up the garlic. Now this is already chopped garlic. You can certainly add fresh stuff, but again, this is kind of a quick, easy meal. The idea is that you put it all together and just let it bake and walk away, right? How easy is that? So this is a great meal for, you know, a Monday through Thursday kind of night when you are in a hurry. And we'll add some salt and some pepper. Be careful with the salt. You can overdo it. It might take you a couple tries before you find the kind that, or the amount that suits your taste. My wife likes it pretty salty. I like less salt. So, and then we'll add some pepper. If you've got kiddos, don't go heavy on the pepper. Obviously that will make it a little spicier. So be careful there. Now we'll put a little bit of lemon on. So we'll go ahead and half that, and then we're going to quarter it. So the idea here is to make wedges, right? And you can even eighth it as well, depending on how many lemons you have. Lemons are pretty potent, you may have heard, pretty sour. So I think 1 lemon for this meal, that feeds 2 adults and 2 kids with leftovers. 1 lemon should do the trick. And we'll get those sliced up. And remove any seeds along the way. not required. You're not going to be eating the lemons, but I don't want them to pop out during the baking stage and then have a surprise crunch at dinner time. So we'll get as many of those removed as we can. And I'm pretty happy with that. And then we can decoratively place them. Now it's obviously not just for decoration. When that bakes, those lemon juices are going to release into the oil, and it's going to make a really powerful flavor. And we're going to be dipping our bread into this mix. Okay. So this is kind of what it should look like. Nothing fancy. Now you could take some fresh cilantro and either go ahead and put it on now, or you can dress it later, kind of depending on, again, your own preferences. We've done it either way, and we'll go ahead and take some cilantro off. Now the disadvantage of, I think, cooked cilantro or baked cilantro is that it just doesn't look as pretty. So if you're, serving this meal for guests, you might want to not cook with it and put it as kind of a post bake, because those greens are going to really maintain their color a little bit more, I think. But we'll go ahead and chop this up, and be careful not to cut yourself. And we will garnish as shown. And exact amounts here, again, kind of a subjective call, but we'll start off with that for the purposes of this video. And that is it. This is what it should look like when all ingredients are mixed. So again, notice how simple that is. You just pretty much dump everything in, coat it, make sure your measurements are, to your liking, and then it's going to go into the oven pretty much just like this. Now, we'll go ahead and get the bread going as well. We've got a loaf of baker's bread, and this is out of this world. We got this loaf at Costco. They make the best loaves. They're affordable, and they're super, almost European. They've got that really hard, crunchy outer, once they come out of the oven, kind of that really hard, hot, crunchy outer, and then the inner part of the bread is super moist and soft. So we'll go ahead and set the timer, and this will vary depending on your location, but 20 minutes is typically what we do and have had success making sure that fish is now completely white and baked all the way through. So 20 minutes does the job. We've got 3 minutes, seconds. We're done. Look at that. And we'll peek in here again. Get hit by the initial releasing heat. And you should see it kind of bubbling. Those tomatoes should look cooked and baked, right? Shriveled. And look at those lemons too, as they, like I said before, as they heat up and bake, they're going to release that lemon juice in there. It's going to mix with the oil and the garlic and the capers. Same thing with the capers, they kind of pop, and it's going to be a great dipping. In fact, we always have kind of family fights after we divide up the bread, right? Who gets the last dips of bread into the oil. Out of this world flavor, and highly recommended. Here's that bread loaf I'm talking about. Again, got this at Costco, and super moist on the inside, and that hard, almost European-like shell on the outside if you've ever had a good European loaf. How good does that look? And we can actually put some of those juices, smother that on top post-bake of the fish, as shown. And then leave the rest. So you want to overdo the olive oil. You can see we actually want a pool there because that's going to be what you dip your bread in communally. You can certainly pour those into little smaller cups, and each person has their, if you have guests over, for example, have their own dipping for the bread. But that is kind of what we do. And as for serving, obviously however many tomatoes you prefer, and you can go ahead and squeeze the lemon onto the fish as well. Just like that. And we're going to go ahead and call that good. Again, easy, affordable, great Monday through Thursday recipe. You can dip your bread in. Out of this world. So highly recommended, 5-star recipe here, and bon appetit. Hopefully this has helped you out. Thanks so much.
This is super duper 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 yummy.